Good evening and welcome to the evening session of our Johnston County Commissioners November 7th meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Welcome those who are here in the audience and those who are watching us on YouTube. Welcome. I do have a few announcements before we get started. One is case 2224 has been withdrawn by the applicant and will not be heard tonight. The next is the applicant for cases 2217 and 2218. Shenandoah Homes has requested that these be tabled until the December 5th, 2022 6 o'clock meeting, and the board will table these two cases during the approval of the agenda. So with that said, I will move on to the next item, which is approval of said agenda. Is there a motion to approve that with the changes noted?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion we approve the agenda with the noted changes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Tonight's agenda is approved. Next up, we'll call Mr. Bryant Spivey forward with Corporate Extension to discuss a resolution for Farm City Week. And as Mr. Spivey's coming forward, he has some words, and then I've asked Commissioner Smith to read that proclamation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity to be with you all tonight to bring this resolution before you for your consideration. And I thank this board for your many years of support of Farm City Week in Johnston County and certainly our agricultural industry here in the county. As you all know and recognize, it is a very important industry here. For no greater reason than the fact that it feeds all of us and feeds us well, and that's something that we enjoy and appreciate. Our committee has planned our event again this year, our banquet event, and I know that conflicts with your mid-month meeting this November, and we're very sorry for that, and that timing is rather traditional to be on the Monday night before Thanksgiving. And barring some disaster, that's probably when it'll be again next year, unless something changes dramatically that I don't necessarily foresee. It's been that way for many, many years. But I understand that y'all have got a conflict with that, and I'm very sorry about that. But again, we will have other events around Farm City Week that week. We'll have our Youth Livestock Festival on the Friday evening before. Forgive me for not looking at my calendar right now, but that's the 17th or the 18th, that Friday. Previously following that, at the Johnston County Livestock Arena is our Livestock Festival meal. We only have about 500 people, 600 people come out for a fundraiser to support that youth livestock group. And we'll be doing other publicity and so forth throughout the week, and we'd encourage you all to follow that. But I appreciate your support of this resolution, which is signifying the importance of the relationship between farmers and families here in Johnston County to put food on the table, and it's something we always give thanks for around the Thanksgiving season, which we will do that week. And we're very fortunate to have a bountiful agriculture here in Johnston County, and I appreciate you all taking the steps to recognize that this evening. I want to take a brief moment, personal pleasure, to introduce Miss Nicole Youngblood that I brought with me tonight. Nicole is the newest extension agent in our office, serving agriculture in our ag communications and marketing position here, which is very important to helping to communicate the important things that are going on our farms and ways that our local consumers can connect with farms and farmers here in our county and agricultural goods and commodities. And Nicole is a native of Johnston County. She grew up in the McGee's Crossroads community, was trained at North Carolina State University, did an internship in our office about 7 years ago, the great value of internships. She worked with North Carolina State University in their foundation office and at North Carolina Farm Bureau, and we're very fortunate to have her back here in Johnston County. And so I just wanted to bring her with me tonight, and she'll gradually become a face of events like this in Johnston County, the Farm City Week banquet, and she'll do a great job of that. And so I just wanted you all to be able to put a face with the name there. And we have yet to get that in the media, but we are working on it. We have been very busy around our office. But again, thank you for your consideration of
Yeah, I
this
think there's
resolution.
somebody over there who can help you, that PO fellow. They can probably help you get
Where did
that
you
out.
say she was educated at, Brian?
She got her undergraduate degree at North Carolina
Oh, North Carolina
State
State,
University
okay.
there in Raleigh. And her degree is in agronomy.
All right, outstanding.
You know, I regret that question. I thought
You
she said-
object to that, yeah.
Yeah, object. She said University of North Carolina, I think.
So I will say that that's one of the things I think this board is the fact that somebody's raised here and is now back here working, a young person, and that's exciting to me when we are providing opportunities for our young folks to return to Johnston County and work. So that's a double blessing there. She's working here and she's from here. So
She is a product of Johnston County. So we're glad to have her. And thank you all again for considering this resolution. And if you have any questions or anything, just let me know.
Nicole, welcome. We're glad you're here.
yeah,
Welcome back home.
yeah, that's right. All right, Commissioner Smith, you want to read the
Okay.
resolution?
National Farm City Week Resolution. Whereas agriculture has always been a cornerstone of Johnston County's way of life, we acknowledge that dedicated farmers improve our well-being by working to ensure a healthy and abundant agricultural supply. To succeed in this important enterprise, our farmers rely on essential partnerships with non-rural communities to supply, sell, and deliver finished products across the county and around the world. During National Farm City Week, we recognize the importance of this cooperative network to the success of the agricultural industry, and whereas farming was America's first industry and continues today to provide us with many of the necessities of life, such as food, clothing, and fuel for our energy needs. Agriculture employs a substantial number of workers in Johnston County, including farmers, shippers, processors, marketers, retailers, truck drivers, inspectors, and others who annually contribute more than $3.8 billion in value-added income in Johnston County. And whereas we welcome new opportunity for trade, hard work, and successful cooperation between farmers and city workers to continue to play a vital role in our county's success and to be a critical resource for countless people here and around the nation. And whereas Farm City collaboration helps maintain and improve our nation's food and fiber supply and contribute to a better quality of life for countless citizens. We commend the many Johnstonians whose hard work and ingenuity reflects the true spirit of America and help to ensure a prosperous future for all. And whereas we gather with family and friends around the Thanksgiving table, it is fitting that we count among our blessings the vital Farm City partnerships that have done so much to improve the quality of our lives. Rural and non-rural communities working together have made the most of our rich agricultural resources. They continue to contribute to the health and well-being of our people and to the strength of our economy. Now, therefore, we, the Commissioners of Johnston County, do hereby proclaim November 18 through 24th, 2022 as Farm City Week. We call upon citizens in rural and city areas to acknowledge and celebrate the achievement of all who, working together, produce an abundance of agricultural products that strengthen and enrich our community and our nation. Proclaimed this 7th day of November 2022, R.S. Butch, Law to Chairman, Paula G. Woodard, Clerk to the Board.
All right, did I take that in form of a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve it.
All right, I hear a second.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The resolution is passed. Thank you. All right, next up, we have public comments. Before I hear myself talk, is there anyone here for public comments tonight? All right, so we have one, so I'll read them for you then. So this is a point in the meeting where anyone present can come forward and address the board on an item that's not on the agenda. We do have a couple of simple rules, as one is maintain proper decorum and address us in a civil manner. This is a time for you to make a presentation to us, not a time for us to answer. So if you would come forward, state your name and your town or township that you're from.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Adam Caldwell, Benson. I'd like to address the board tonight on your October 17th discussion regarding the proposed new comprehensive land use plan in Vision Johnston. One important thing I think was missing from that discussion was quality of life for current and future Johnston County residents. For over 6 years, I served on our county planning board. I lost count of how many citizens spoke up about congested roadways, already overcrowded schools, just growth in general. Being one of the few growing counties in North Carolina has many positive benefits. There are also challenges that can no longer be overlooked. The opinions of the more than 3,000 county residents and voters who participated in the Vision Johnston drafting process should be valued and not dismissed as only not in my backyard folks. The public forums I attended had a cross-section of fellow citizens actively engaged in what they want their homes to be here in 20 years. Private property rights are a cornerstone of this country, and God forbid we ever lose that. As your board discusses heirs moving away and their right to sell the family farm, duly consider the citizens who aren't moving away and intend to live here as they raise their family. A commute to work that doubles every few years, schools with students in a dozen or more mobile units, diminishing open space for outdoor activities, and loss of community character are everyday concerns for them and many other Johnstonians. It is true that farmers will continue to farm as long as they're making a profit, but consider this hypothetical. If I farm 50 acres on Highway 50 at McGee's Crossroads and have a commercial business on one side and high-density subdivisions on the other two, how many lucrative offers to sell am I receiving per day? Of course, that's the farmer's decision to make, but would the pressure to sell be as intense if my land was surrounded by other compatibly zoned property or less intense development? Only you have the authority to determine that. Our rural character is what sets Johnston County apart from our neighbors to the north. I don't think it's this board's intent, nor the intent of most Johnston County residents, for us to be indistinguishable from Wake and Durham counties in 30 years. I commend you for wanting to get this thing right, because there is no silver bullet. It takes a concerted strategy. We've been talking about the growth challenges this county faces for decades now. It's time for bold, decisive action through ordinance changes. You have a solid blueprint through Envision Johnston, along with citizen influence recommendations. As President Theodore Roosevelt once said, in any moment of decision, the best thing you can do is the right thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Anyone else? And Madam Clerk, we had no other emails, so. All right, let's see, before we move, I did want to, and I want to try to do this at every meeting, just so folks know, and I get asked this occasionally, we do the prayer and the pledge in the morning meeting, and we do not repeat it, so I just wanted to make sure, I'll make better notes next time to remind myself of that at the start. So next up, we have public hearings, and let's see, so we start with cases 2217 and 2218 were tabled, and that brings us to case 2222, rezoning hearing. And so I will call our planning director, Braxton Newton, forward to give us a background.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Case 22-22 is a petition to rezone 5.12 acres located at 10842 Cleveland Road in Cleveland Township from general business, special use district to general business. Owner and applicant is Krishna, SAI LLC. surrounding zonings and are primarily commercial. This is at the intersection of Shiloh Road and Cleveland Road. Essentially, all four quadrants are general business uses or general business district with a myriad of uses from office to various retail. Traffic along Cleveland Road was 12,000 vehicles per day. This is a 2020 count, and this is identified in our current land use plan as primary growth area. The special use district, as you well or may be aware, is no longer, it's an antiquated district. We are no longer permitted to use or utilize special use districts by statute. And so going forward, and in accordance with our ordinance, if no land use was developed for any given special use district, every 2 years that needed to have come back to this body for approval once again to keep it current. So the owner, in making application this time, decided to take an approach of a general use district zoning to general business. Be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Newton? And I did want to make, no, I don't know, I think I said it, but I don't, I just want to make sure, prior to him coming up, I opened up the public hearing for that, so just make sure I did that. So anyone else, is the applicant here to speak? You would state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Raghu Katuru. I'm from 113 Townsend Drive, Clayton, North Carolina. I'm requesting from special use to general business.
Any questions?
Quick question. I know we've talked about this a little bit in review. What is your intention for the property?
The plan was to have satellite clinic to build there, but during the pandemic, everything halted right now. That's the purpose.
Any other questions of the applicant? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
What, did you have another one, Commissioner?
I'm good.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Anyone else here wishing to speak to this case? All right, with that, I will close the public discussion portion of this hearing. And Braxton, asks you to come back up and summarize and present the planning board's recommendation.
Yes, sir. As it relates to case 22-22, planning board does recommend approval and offers for your consideration resolution and statement of consistency.
All right, any discussion or additional questions for the board? If not, I will close the public hearing.
Can I ask one question?
Oh, sure.
I know it's already been gone through the planning board, but if the intention for the usage were to change, is that something that would have to be reviewed, or as long as it fell under GB zoning, anything would be approved?
As long as it's permitted use in general business district zoning would be allowed pending a proper site plan approval.
Okay. Not a storage facility.
All right, any other questions? If not, I will close the hearing and look for, let's see, without lack of discussion, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt statement of consistency resolution as presented in the agenda packet and approve the rezoning request.
I second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any additional discussion on this case? All right, if not, those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next case was to be 2224, which has been withdrawn by the applicant, so we'll move on to the hearing for case 2225. At this time, I will open the public hearing for that and ask Mr. Newton to give us some background on that.
Yes, sir. So case 22-25 is a petition rezone .68 acre tract located at 1251 Sanders Road in Pleasant Grove Township from community business special use district to agricultural residential owner and applicant John Philip Stevenson and Kimberly Sutton Stevenson. The property was formerly, has formerly operated under the special use district as a daycare. My understanding is the daycare is closing, either has closed or is closing, and they want to return this property to an agricultural residential district for said use. You will note that this is a 0.68, so this is right at 30,000 square feet. However, this, even if it's under 30,000 square feet, which is our minimum lot size, it does not preclude it from being developed for an agricultural or residential purpose, as it is a lot of record. Just wanted to make that clear to the board in case that was a question.
I didn't understand that last sentence you said.
So essentially,
Is it what?
we have a minimum, our minimum lot
Right, 30.
area, so it's 30,000 square feet. Any lot that is existing, it's a lot of record since, as long as it's existing prior to the adoption of that standard.
Right.
And this is one of those situations. Traffic along Sanders Road is 4,400 vehicles per day, is 2018 count, and this also is located in a primary growth area per our current land use plan. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Newton? All right, hearing no questions from Mr. Newton, I will ask the applicant to come forward, state their name and address, and any information you want to share with us.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Philip Stevenson, John Philip Stevenson, 1251 Sanders Road. Yeah, my wife opened this up as a daycare back in 1995. In 2012, she got stage 3 colon cancer. And so we've kind of, and she built a new daycare in 2005 next door to it. Since then, we've sold that daycare, and we don't feel it's right to have this as a daycare, which could be competition to the daycare that we sold next door to. So we would rather just convert it back to residential and sell it as or keep it and live in it as a residential property. And originally it was a house, so.
All right, any questions, Mr. Stevenson?
He's got a great idea there. All the front yard's gravel because of the daycare, so you don't have to mow grass.
I got the backyard. I got me a senior citizen lawnmower, man. Come on.
I need to do
I
this
don't
to
have
my
to cut
yard.
20 acres no more, you know.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
Yes, sir.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this case? All right. I will close the public discussion portion and ask Mr. Newton to come forward and summarize and present the planning board's recommendation.
Sir, as it relates to case 22-25, planning board does recommend approval and offers for your consideration resolution of statement of consistency.
All right, any additional questions for Mr. Newton? All right, any discussion on the board before I close the hearing? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to the board for,
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt the statement of consistency resolution as presented in the agenda packet and approve the rezoning request for case number 22-25.
Second.
all right, we have a lot of seconds. Madam Clerk, I'll let you figure out who did that. Any other discussion on that? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, next up, we have case 2226, rezoning of 5.75 acres of a 31-acre tract on Covered Bridge Road. I will now open the public hearing and turn it over to Mr. Newton one last time tonight to present the background and for us to have discussion.
Yes, sir. Case 22-26 involves a rezoning request of 5.75 acres of a 31-acre tract located at 11260 Covered Bridge Road in Wilders Township from General Business Special Use District to Agricultural Residential. Owner and applicant is Ned Coleman. This property, once again, is one of these antiquated special use districts. It was originally approved for a use to include landscape supply sales at the site on a portion of this 31-acre farm. My understanding is that the business has ceased to operate, has been dissolved, and the owners is requesting a return back to the original zoning district of Bay or reincorporate this into the farm. Property is located on Covered Bridge Road. The traffic count there is 1,100 vehicles per day, and that's a 2018 count. Property is located in a secondary growth area as per county's current land use plan. Be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, if now I would ask the applicant to come forward, would state your name and address and any information that you think we need to hear tonight.
Ned Coleman, 11272 Covered Bridge Road, which is next door, Zebulon. Just want to return it back so I could put a house back there.
Sounds fair enough. Any questions, Mr. Coleman? All right. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Anyone else wishing to speak to this item? All right, doesn't see anyone else, so I will now close the public discussion portion of this hearing and call for Mr. Newton to come up and summarize and present the planning board's recommendation.
Sir, as it relates to case 22-26, planning board does recommend approval and offers for your consideration a resolution and statement of consistency.
All right, any other questions or discussion on this? If not, I will close the hearing and turn it over to the board for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt a statement of consistency, a resolution as presented in the agenda package and approve the rezoning request.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And while Mr. Newton is standing up there, he has the next item on there, the D-line planning contract, and is looking for approval of change orders.
Yes, sir. Included in your packet are two change orders, change order number 2 and change order number 3. The first is a change order request in the amount of $6,250. This is to cover an additional public forum that was conducted. There were 3 included in the contract that was approved, and 4 were conducted. The fourth public forum was at the request and decision of the steering committee. And the change order number 3 is in the amount of $14,050. This is, or I'm sorry, $9,757.35. This is to cover any additional needed public hearings and meetings since they have fulfilled their contract to this point, and with regard to any meetings before this body and or the planning board. And this will be on an as-needed basis only.
And is this for the 2 that have been coming? Is that who's?
Yes, it is. Yes.
So for Ben and, okay. All right, any questions of Mr. Newton?
Okay, so you say we're going to pay in advance for 3, up to 3, is that what you're saying?
We're not paying in advance. We're establishing a change order in case they have to, in case they
okay.
bill out for that.
Okay.
Like I said, it's as needed only.
Okay. Thank you for that
Yes, sir.
clarification.
All right, any other questions or clarifications needed? All right, I hear a motion.
I'm not going to be here all night. Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the 2 change orders with neon planning as requested.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the 2 change orders with Neon Planning. Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Any anticipated activities would be on a agreed-upon per diem or per unit basis? Per hour or per diem or whatever?
They have yes, sir, they have a fee schedule, so we know exactly what they're billing out in terms of travel and expenses.
Okay.
Yes, sir, and those are and that's included in the $9,757.
All right, any other discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Mr. Newton, we have the planning activity report and then a draft comprehensive land use plan, continued discussion.
Yes, sir. Just one thing to report with regard to planning is you may recall that we had released an RFQ for the comprehensive transportation plan, and the closing date was today. We did receive three qualified responses, and so we will begin to examine those and score those based on our criteria and bring forward a recommendation to this body at the appropriate time.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have for you this evening.
All right. And then do you have anything, comments, or you ready to hear from us on the comprehensive land use plan?
I'm ready to hear from you.
So I will kind of start off the discussion. I think it will probably be, brief tonight. But one thing we had at the last meeting, we talked about the potential of possibility of using committees, and after much discussion with our consultant and other folks that I work with and other folks I know of in the industry, that seemed to be a more complicated process than it was going to be a helpful process. So what I would propose tonight, and have spoken to some of you about, is for us to get together our thoughts, our concerns, and bring those to the planning director and be able to accumulate those, put them together, and address the issues that we have. Because I think what we're going to find is probably going to be large sections that we agree on, and we probably don't need to discuss every item in them. But if we can get those issues, and if you have some tonight you want to put out there, let's do those tonight and get started on it. But I would look for us all to be prepared at the next meeting on the 21st to provide that list of issues that we have and would want to see addressed, and possibly we can discuss some of them then. But to do that at our next meeting. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
I was not prepared to discuss any of this tonight. I thought we were moving to potentially a committee.
Right.
I mean, and I'm okay either way. I just, I did not think we didn't discuss this in the agenda review, and I would hope we would, if we're going to do that, we do that on the 21st.
Okay.
I would say this, Mr. Chairman, as one public comment was made tonight, to have any meaningful results from this is going to take some hard decisions and maybe some bold decisions, and it's not going to be comfortable to everybody, but we got to make that step, I think, to make this even worthwhile.
So I would agree with that. I did want to go a step further, as Mr. Caldwell had brought up in his comments during public comments, is one, for almost 4,000 people is 4,000 people. And I think we've got folks who have taken polling. We're seeing a lot of polling with activity and stuff happening tomorrow where they take a small group and it projects out over the whole group. And I think that's, 4,000 people probably are reflective of most of the folks in the county. And, if you have 75% wanting, and I don't know if that's the right number or not, wanting open space and farmland preservation, I don't think the number's 20. Now, you can argue, is it 60, is it 80, or whatever it is, but I don't think there's that kind of disparity. The other thing I will say is most of this board here, we picked the committee, the land use committee. That was a pretty diverse committee of both folks representing agriculture, development. So that was a pretty diverse board that brought this plan to us. So I wanted to say, first off, thank you to the 4,000 and for the 15 or 16 that participated as part of that land use committee. So I think we have something that is as reflective of our county as it can be. But I also think that this board understands that this is a big decision that's been mentioned already a couple times tonight. And it's not going to be easy. We're not all going to be on the same page on everything, but I think we're going to be on the same page on a lot of things, a very high percentage of the plan, and we will battle it out over, some of them, but eventually it's going to come down to we're going to raise hands, and it's going to, pass. It's on 4-3, 5-2, 6-1, 7-0, whatever it is, but we'll come up with something, and I think this board, has diverse opinions on that. I'm looking forward to that discussion. And I know that all 7 of us up here are looking towards the future, not next year, not even 5 years down the road, but to that 2040 date and then beyond. So I think that, and I trust that's in the forefront of all this, every member of this board. So with that said, any other comment? Did you have some specific things you wanted to share?
No, but as I understand the process, I understand what Commissioner Smith, and I agree with him. Let's all be prepared to talk about it, but I guess it would be encouraged or acceptable if we all submitted individual thoughts or ideas to Breast between now and then.
I would say whatever the format you're most comfortable in sharing information with Mr. Newton and staff, I would say, use your preferred method to communicate those ideas.
Good.
Anything else?
I guess the only one thing I would like to discuss, maybe tonight, is the map.
I'm glad you brought that up. One thing that I had discussed with Mr. Newton in the last week or so is, and I don't know the right word, the smoothing out of that map. I think we discussed the map at some length last time, and we had donut holes in there that were agriculture surrounded by residential. And my thought is to direct staff to provide maybe a couple of options of smoothing those lines out and trying to make that something that's a little more, so there you go. The pieces that are green and isolated within areas that are residential, and I would say staff use their judgment on what that might look like.
We'll bring you options on that.
Okay,
So we'll have that ready for your next meeting.
I agree, and I think there's some valid points made at last meeting about where the farm bordering Wake County or something, if it is always going to be a farm, or do you have the flexibility or whatever, and I think there's some valid points there if you look on how that is done. But again, y'all smoothed it out,
Yeah.
Well, the thing that stands out to me, what Ms. Nealon pointed out was, from this map right now, if you flew over the county, this is what it looks like. It's not necessarily what they say it ought to be carved in stone, but this is what we're starting with, and maybe the easiest transition would be to use that as a template, but some of those areas might wind up being very dense areas after it all comes together.
Yeah. And again, I think I said at the last meeting, but I don't think, I didn't hear any on the different land uses with maybe an addition of 1 or possibly 2, that I didn't hear anybody, those categories were not correct. So I think we're starting, we're not starting at 0 on this thing. We may be starting at a 8 or something like that, but we're close, and I think we can get there. And as we go more into land use types, like I said, I can think of one that we kind of mentioned last time, but we may add one, but I think we're pretty close on that as well.
But this is, Commissioner Governor, a proposed future land use plan map.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we need that.
All right.
The flyovers never be much good.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, so we have our homework over the next couple of weeks in whatever format you want. Make sure you get your information and questions in, or we can do it if you want to bring them on the 21st and share them then, that's fine too. But sometime between now and then, make sure you have your information to Mr. Newton. So, all right.
That's all I have for you, sir.
All right, here's nothing else on that. Mr. Hester, do you have manager's report comments?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, board members, just a quick follow-up from this morning. I did speak with the CEO of Cloudwise on the broadband this afternoon, so we're getting that meeting set up with them and find out a little. We want to do our due diligence because it's not a slam dunk that they would be doing Johnston County, but we feel like we owe it to them to have that meeting and have discussions and also come back to the board. So that's just a follow-up. Thank you.
All right. If that's it, I'll start on this side. Commissioner Smith, any comments or reports?
Let's go home.
Go home?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I'm good.
What do we ever decide about the school, the land adjoining the school purchase? Are we going to just make a decision on that later?
I think staff is working through that.
Okay. I got nothing.
And so the only thing I would say, tomorrow is the
Voting.
Election Day. So for those of you who have not already been out to vote, please go vote tomorrow. Also wanted to say to all the folks who are running, all the candidates out there, I appreciate what you're putting yourself into and the work you put in. And again, thank you for doing that. And let's make sure we get out and vote tomorrow for those of us who have not voted just yet. So with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to second to adjourn.
What's your name again?
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.